Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to the bookshelf scavenger hunt tag. I can't wait to jump in and do this. I don't usually film videos in front of my entire bookshelf. I usually film them at Dave's place because he's got all the equipment, so I can't wait to jump in and do this. I feel at home in my little bedroom with all of my books, so I can't wait to see how many of these prompts I can actually answer. So let's just jump into it. So the first question is, find a book that starts with the letter N. A book that starts with the letter N, I think I have one of those. The next question is to find a book cover that's mostly brown. The closest ones I could find were Crooked Kingdom, which has brown on it, but it's mostly black. And then I've got another one as well. And that is my Arc of Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. I feel like this is mostly orange, but it could pass as brown if you squint, maybe. The next question is find a book that is based on a true story. And I don't usually read much non-fiction, but hopefully I have something, because I think I do, but I've got so many books and they're all double stacked that I tend to move them around a lot, so it might not be in the place that I think it is. It was where I thought it was, and it is Finding Nemo, and I believe that this is a trans coming out story based on a real person's life. And they are also Australian, so bonus points for that. The next question is find a multiple perspective book, and I feel like I can just gesture vaguely at my entire fantasy shelf, but I'll go and pick one out specifically. For this prompt I have The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. This has a multitude of perspectives in it, so it definitely counts for this challenge. The next question is find a book that you read last year. I read 120 books last year, so you'd think I'd be able to remember one of them, but I remembered one. I read A Darker Shade of Magic last year. I actually read the whole trilogy last year in January, so that counts. The next challenge is find a book that you most recently bought, and I don't have it on me, but I know that it's The Secret History by Brandon Sanderson because Dave is reading it right now, so I don't have it on me. So does that count if I don't have it in person? The next challenge is to find a book with a cover that you don't like. I don't think I own a book with a cover that I don't like, which is actually a pretty good thing considering I buy a lot of the books that I own and I've made pretty good purchases. The only one that caught my eye was this Deadpool comic, and I thought his leg looked really weird. The closer I looked, it was actually drawn on the angle it's supposed to be. It just looks weird if you're looking at it in peripheral vision, and I was scouring my bookshelves, so that's why it looks strange. But apart from this one, I don't really have any. If I inspect the characters on some of the books that I do own, I see proportions that don't quite match, but that's very nitpicky. So an example of that would be the Throne of Glass books, but I ended up unhauling those recently, so I don't actually have any on hand to show you. The next question is to find a retelling, and I don't think I have one of those on hand. I think I can get away with this one. It is The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. He does a lot of not direct retellings of Greek myths. Oh no, wait! I have one that's more suitable to this question. As soon as I said Greek myths, I thought of Circe, and this is a direct retelling of the witch named Circe in Greek myth. So that counts a lot more than Rick's loose kind of revisiting of the Greek gods, so Circe would count for this question. I've got to find a book that is also a movie. This isn't actually my book, but I have The Revenant, and I really need to return this borrowed book because I've had it for way too long. The next question is to find a book that is written this year. I feel like with the way publishing works, all of the books that are written this year haven't even been queried yet, but if it means a book that has been published this year, then I have What Mama Left Me, and this came out in January. The next question is to find a non-fiction book, and I'm just gonna have to go with Finding Nemo again because I really don't own any other non-fiction books. I don't generally read non-fiction, and if I do, it's probably on a very, very specific recommendation from somebody I trust, or it's from someone who's a local Australian author like this book is, or I've gone and downloaded the audiobook because I know that the person whose memoir it is or biography it is has narrated it and I want to listen to it from their perspective. So I don't really own many physical copies of non-fiction books. The next question is find a book that you have told others to read. These are just a few authors and books that I would choose from. I don't have two of my favourites here, so I don't have Trader's Blade and I don't have The Art of Racing in the Rain, but basically those plus this stack is a pretty good indication of what I will book push onto you and insist that you read. The next challenge is to find a book with a tree on it. Trees aren't the main focus on this cover, but my copy of Uprooted does have 2 trees on it. Find a book where the author's name is the same as yours, so that's first name, middle name, or last name. Literally nobody calls me Becky because I hate it, but it's the closest I can find, Becky Chambers. The next question is to find a book that you've read more than once. And again, I'm sad that I don't have The Art of Racing in the Rain with me because I've read that like 7 or 8 times, and I don't want to count Harry Potter because I feel like that's an easy cop-out win. I did read The Name of the Wind again last year, and I want to reread it again as soon as I can because I absolutely adore this book and I forget how much I love it every time I start it again. I know we're probably not going to get a sequel for a really long time, but I'm just gonna keep reading this book and the second book as much as I possibly can because I love them so much. The next question is to find a book that I didn't finish. I don't have a lot of books on my shelf. Some of them are packed away in boxes, and I definitely know that I have Game of Thrones, the entire series, and I started the second book, A Clash of Kings, but I put it down and I didn't finish it. And then I also have The Magicians by Lev Grossman, but it was very wordy for me and a lot of fluff and not a lot of happening, and so I ended up just putting that one down as well. Even though I met him and in person he was really cool, I just couldn't really get into his writing, unfortunately. So those are 2 books that I have picked up and then put down. The next question is to find a book with King on it. I have The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. The next question is to find a book that is purple with its dust jacket off. This is the slipcase edition of Robin Hobb, and it has pretty silver edges as well. Does that count for dust jacket? It's a very rigid dust jacket, but I'm going to count it anyway. The next question is to find a book that you will read by the end of the year, and I have an entire video of my 2019 priority reading list, so that question is definitely covered and I've already read a few on that list, so definitely check that out if you are keen to see what is on my TBR. Thank you so much, this is the end of the video. I now need to go and clean up all of the books that are in piles around me from this scavenger hunt. I want to tag some people, but I know that I'm going to forget, so I'm just going to say off the top of my head, Tam, Danny, Alex, Beck and Chammy. And we'll go with that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please do it if you really want to do it. You're tagged, I tag you. Again, thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.